what's really cool about this mini PC is it is so thin and small. When I first saw this, it reminded me of a computer dock just because it's so small. This thing is really cool. So it's made by MeLE, this brand, and they sent it to me so I could make this video. But before I show you all the tests I run, let's set the expectations for what this should be capable of doing, and then I will show you some of the ports and open this up so you can have a look inside. Now this has the N100 chip in it. So this is kind of like a low power chip. You don't really expect a super strong performance, though I have been really impressed with this chip in the past for other computers. Just the things to be aware of, we shouldn't expect this to work really well with graphics, any 3D stuff like that. It has 4 cores, so while you can do some multitasking, it's not going to be like crazy tons of multitasking or anything like that. This is the box it comes in. The main specs to be aware of are here: the N100, 16 gigs of RAM and 0.5 terabyte hard drive. Here is everything else. The mini PC does come with a mounting bracket and some screws here. Oh, I like this. USB-C for power. I've got to say, I am really impressed with how thin this is. I don't know if this is the smallest mini PC I've seen, but it's easily the thinnest mini PC I've seen. Also, this is quite heavy. The body, this is made out of metal. This top is made out of metal as well. I don't think there's any plastic on here. So if you look at the back here, here's where you'll put in the power. You do have 2 LAN ports, very nice. Got HDMI display port, and then here is USB-C. You can also use this for an additional display. Also, look at this micro SD card slot or TF card slot. That's really nice. You do have 2 USB 3.0 and a USB 2.0. Nothing on the front but a power button. Pretty unique design for a mini PC. All right, I am curious if any of this is upgradable. I kind of suspect it is not, simply because of how heavy it feels and how compact I suspect it is. Let's see. Oh, wow. Hey, that's pretty cool. So this metal back, you can see here where it goes onto the processor. So this whole thing is a heat sink, no fan, no noise at all. You got your CMOS battery here, got your NVMe drive here, also connects to a pad, so that doesn't get hot either. Where on earth is the RAM? I don't see any RAM. And as I suspected, I don't see any way to do any upgrades on this. I suppose you could put in a larger hard drive. That seems to be it. All right, let's see how well everything runs. Let's first start a game. Let's do Dolphin emulation. All right, Mario Kart on the Wii. Should be nice. Seems pretty smooth so far. All right, let's see how smooth the gameplay is on this. So far, it seems totally fine. I'm not having any issues at all with this. Cool beans. Let's try a more graphics intensive game. I don't expect this to work, but let's go ahead and try Rocket League. All right, if you look up here in the top right corner, frames per second, we are at about 15, 16, not great. All right, I'm gonna go to settings and see if I can't get anything better. So let's go to the video. Render quality, let's do high performance for this. Performance, frames per second. I'm gonna leave that here, see what we can do, but all of this I'm going to do high performance. This should low intensity. All right, and if you look in the top right, we're at 42, so this might work. Looks like I'm going around 40 frames per second. The graphics are terrible, but my frame rate is okay. Like this is playable. So if you adjust the game, you could absolutely play a game with decent graphics. Now, of course, you're not going to have decent graphics as you play the game, but ta-da, I scored a goal. That's good enough. Let's get out of here. Let's try Fortnite. I'm going to press play here. We'll see how long it takes to load. This is the first time opening it, so probably a while. All right, it took about a minute just to get to the part where it's starting to update and connect, so pretty slow going. So about the 2-minute mark, it asked me if I want to apply the best settings. I will say yes. I'm kind of curious what it ends up doing with the graphic settings. We've got the game loaded. Let's go to settings so we can see the frames per second. All right, so far this is kind of painful. The graphics settings applied. Everything's still really choppy. Looks like all the settings are as low as it can go. So I think this is what we're stuck with. Yeah, I'm not even gonna bother at this point. Goodbye. So I've got some test spreadsheets that we can open. So this might be a more realistic test. I've got one with 3,000 rows. Let's go ahead and see how long it takes to open that up. Squirrels in Central Park. Oh, wow. So maybe 3 seconds to open this up. Scrolling, fine. Not laggy at all. All right, so 3,000 rows handles that just fine. Let's see, what else do we have? Film permits in New York, 10,000 rows. Yeah, let's try it out. See how long it takes to open. 2, 3. So just okay. Wow, just over 3 seconds. That wasn't too bad. I'm feeling. I mean, when I scroll like this, it's not that bad. Oh, okay. It's a bit laggy, but not that bad. Let's try something with about 300,000 rows. This I expect to not really perform all that great, but we'll see. Oh yeah, we're just watching it load now. I may regret doing that. It's thinking about it. All right, 23 seconds. 23 seconds isn't horrible. I mean, this is a big spreadsheet. Okay, once loaded, not bad. Hey, I'm impressed. Okay, cool. Let's test out some 3D. So I've got some Blender files. Let's do something light. Let's see how long it takes to open up Blender. We're at about 30 seconds for that to open. Kind of not a fair test though, as that was the first time that Blender has been opened. Let's try one more time. Now that it has been opened once, we'll do the same file. It was 30 seconds. Okay, 20 seconds. Not that much better. So this is a fairly small file. It's kind of choppy. It's not super smooth, but this is totally workable for a small file. So doing 3D, yeah, you could do 3D. Let's try something a little bit bigger. Oh, and it's opening faster each time. That was about 12 seconds, so not too bad. So this scene is a little bit more intense. And still, this isn't too bad. Like this is workable. You could work with this. You may not want to. I wouldn't suggest it, but yeah, if you needed to do 3D on this computer, you could. Let's go ahead and test some raster images. We'll open one about 13 megabytes. Open in Krita. Let's see how well this does. About 23 seconds. See how navigation is, zooming in and out. Not too bad. Scrolling, fine. Let's draw a little bit. See what we've got. Can lighten this up a bit more. Let's do the eyes. Get some white. Yeah, this is not too bad. Let's get something so you can see the colors a little bit better. We'll do a pencil. It's kind of slow. Like there's a bit of a delay that you probably can't see, but I'm moving the mouse faster than it's showing on the screen. So it's not horrible, but again, you know, there's no fantastic GPU on this computer. I'm not expecting much, and this is actually it's not too bad. All right, let's try some 3D printing files. Let's do this scraper. Let's start the timer and see how long it takes to open Cura with the file. Okay, about 12 seconds, not too bad. And navigation's fine. So we got a little scraper. Let's see how long it takes to slice. What happens when we actually try to do something? Okay, let's reset this. Let's go ahead and slice. These are just the default settings. Whoa, was that it? That was, I didn't even see how long that was. That was only like 4 or 5 seconds. That was fast. Are you kidding me? That's nice. Yeah, so if you wanted this computer just as like a 3D printer computer and hook it up to your 3D printer, nothing else, I think this would be pretty good. Let's try something a little more complex. Let's see how long it takes to open this. This is a little cube fidget toy, I believe. It took about 12 seconds to open. Again, navigation totally fine. Let's see how long it takes to slice this. All right, there you go. With something a bit more complex, it does usually take a while. This isn't too bad though. And that took just about 20 seconds, so not horrible. Ooh, now that I'm in this view, it is very laggy. I think you should be able to see that just trying to drag it around. Not that great, but at this point, all you have to do is print. And this is quite a complex file. You can see lots going on here. So yeah, I think this would still work fine for 3D printing. You just have to be a bit more patient. Let's try Inkscape. So this would be some vector graphics. We'll open a Nintendo game controller. So let's start the timer, see how long it takes to open that up. All right, just about 7 to 8 seconds. Not too bad. Dragging it around just fine. Let's zoom in, see if things slow down. That's still okay. Let's ungroup everything. That usually gets things to slow down a bit more. All right, so we've got everything ungrouped now. Let's navigate to some of these elements, move things around. Okay, so there you can see now that everything's ungrouped, there is a bit of lagginess. I'd still say this is usable. Gonna be slow, not amazing, but not bad. So that's cool. This is a nice looking game controller. I've got a bunch of random browser tabs, so we can open this in a new window. Do we want to open all 32? Yes. Most people have a bunch of tabs open all the time. So let's see. I'm totally fine with this. I don't see anything slow. Start countdown. I don't know what that's a countdown for, but these are just some random websites just doing stuff. Yeah, this is fine. A Mango. That's cool. Let's try out the hard drive. So let's select the C drive. That's the only drive we have. So it's the 0.5 terabyte drive. I'm going to unselect these. We'll just try the first test and see how things go. And well, that's totally acceptable. Nice fast speeds for the NVMe drive. Nice. Yeah, so pretty good read-write speeds. Cool beans. After running through all my tests, I've been actually really quite happy with this mini PC. In most areas, it performed more or less how I would expect. But with like the spreadsheet, for example, this did a little bit better than I was thinking it would. Overall, I thought this actually performed really quite well. What I really like about it is there is no fan. After you run it for a while, it does get warm. It never gets hot. It's nice that it has that heat sink built into it. So as I showed in the video, you could possibly get away with some gaming on this if you lower the graphics. That's really not what it's intended for. This is going to work really well for something like a multimedia PC. So if you want to watch like YouTube videos, for example, or you have local files, if you just want to put this on the back of a TV or the back of the monitor, it takes up practically no space at all. This would work really well as a media computer, a browsing computer, just using Chrome, totally fine. Works great for that. A child's computer for working on their homework or doing something like that. Again, totally fine. I'm also really impressed that for this price, it has a USB-C port that actually works with an external monitor. I know a lot of mini PCs, they may have USB-C and it may work with an external monitor. This one does. This also has 2 LAN ports. So if you wanted to set this up as a firewall, it doesn't make any sound, you want to put this in your network closet or something like that, this would work amazing for that. I also ran Ubuntu on this. It was really easy to get into the BIOS. It was either delete or escape. I always pressed both. It worked. Ubuntu had no issues with drivers. I was able to connect to Wi-Fi. The Wi-Fi speeds I was getting on this are the speeds I'm capped at. So I can't tell you exactly how fast it is, but I was getting as fast as my network allows. So that's pretty cool as well. I'm trying to think of a negative for it. I mean, obviously it is a low power N100 chip. It's not the most powerful computer, but for what my expectations were for this thing, it works really well. Really cool design. I just really like how thin that is. If you want to put this on the back of a computer or monitor or just use this for like your 3D printer, this would just work great for just about anything other than heavy graphics, stuff like games or video editing.